Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing the commentary of the Sforno on this week's Parsha, Parshas Noach. Let's go to the Pasuk. Perek Vav, Pasuk Yud. The Pasuk says, Vayoled Noach shlosha banim, es Shem, es Cham, es Yafes. And Noach fathered 3 children, Shem, Cham, and Yefes. The Sforno, Me'ah shehitzke lochiach b'nei doro zocha labanim. From the time Noach began to rebuke the people of his generation who merited to have sons. The explanation of this Sforno. This Sforno is explaining the reason that Noach only had children at a much later age than everyone else in his generation was that he did not merit to have children until he began to rebuke the people of his generation for their sins. The hint, was Noach always a tzaddik? Okay, with the information you already have and the hint, can you come up with a question yourself? Okay, here's the question. It seems from this Sforno that Noach did not merit having children until he began to rebuke the people for their sins. Is it possible to say that Noach, who stood up against all the evil in his generation to remain a tzaddik, which was a tremendous thing, and for that incredible level did not merit having children, but rebuking his generation, which would seem to be a much smaller thing, was enough to enable him to merit having children? The answer, as we always say, the answer comes from within the question, which was, is it possible to say that Noach, who stood up against all the evil in his generation, to remain a tzaddik, which was a tremendous thing, and for that incredible level it did not merit having children, but rebuking his generation, which would seem to be a much smaller thing, was enough to enable him to merit having children? The answer is, of course, yes. And the reason is that we do not appreciate how special it is in the eyes of God when a person cares about God's children and tries to get them back on the path of the Torah. It is even more precious in the eyes of God than even our own personal spiritual growth, which is, of course, incredibly valuable in God's eyes. The practical application. In our lives, many times we find ourselves being around people who are not yet Shomer Torah and mitzvahs, and we need to know that if we can do anything to try to get them onto the path of Torah, those actions are viewed as especially special in the eyes of God. Especially in our times, when there is a movement among the not yet religious who take on mitzvahs, this can be an opportune time to try to make a difference, and we should look for ways to get involved, either through Kiruv organizations or by just reaching out to our non-religious family members and friends ourselves. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Lech Lecha.